Rhino have been on Earth for about 50 million years, but in the last century, their numbers have been decimated. If poaching continues, these beautiful creatures could be extinct within 20 years.
Some species of rhino have already been lost, and scientists are racing to prevent the extinction of any more. And these girls here have a vital role to play.
We'll also be meeting other animals who are playing their part in stopping some of the planet's most endangered animals being lost forever.
On today's programme, we'll be focusing on the world's most endangered species and the keepers striving to save them. The carnivore team fight to save the life of a newborn cheetah cub.
We managed to get a bottle into him. Hopefully he survives through the night.
From the cutest to the creepiest, the future of the world's rarest spider is in the hands of Wiltshire's very own Spider-Man.
Each spiderling that I have is incredibly important to the survival of the species.
Meanwhile, Ben tries to train a porcupine.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. We have a winner.
The vets have been fighting to save a cheetah cub rejected by its mother. After 4 hours, the signs are good, and keeper Eloise is ready to bring it back to the park.
I was thinking the worst, but he's squealing like there's no tomorrow.
But the cub, a boy, is not out of the woods yet. He needs his next meal fast. The keepers must decide whether his best chance of survival is with them or Mum Wilma. Head of Operations Darren Beasley feels they must give Wilma a chance.
The risk of leaving him out and hand-rearing him means, yes, he may well live, he may not, but we've got then a lifetime to try and find him a home. He's not a domestic cat, he's a wild animal. So I think the best thing is, let's try and get back to Mum. She's designed for it, she's built for it.
We're nearly there, little best case scenario, Wilma accepts the cub and continues to rear it, or sort of another option is Wilma just ignores it still, keeps rearing the healthy one that she's got at the moment.
There is a very real danger that the mother could kill her cub.
The risk of putting it in and it not working is dreadful. If it goes well, I'll be so pleased that we've made the decision. If it goes wrong, I've got to live with that, but it is a tough call, and it's one of the toughest things I have to make as a head of animal operations here.
Leaving Wilma completely alone with her cubs will give them the best possible chance to bond.
Yeah, I think it's worth if we just go outside for a little bit. I think if we just give her some peace and quiet and maybe peer through onto the monitor and just keep an eye on it.
What happens in the next 5 minutes will be crucial for this cub.
In a sandy corner of the park, there's a spiky pair of porcupines that you wouldn't want to mess with. So how do the keepers get them to cooperate? It's not every day you get the chance to train a porcupine, but I'm up with James. And who is this? This is either Brussels or Sprout.
So this is Brussels.
Brussels.
This is our girl.
Hello, Brussels. And where is... Oh, and there's Sprout
just
on
here.
cue. How on earth and why are we training these guys?
So porcupines are very intelligent, being a rodent, and we're training them, hopefully, to help their health and welfare. So we're training them for things like station training, to get them in one place, for weight training, and for also things like bloods. And if we ever need to take them to the vet, obviously we can put them in a crate, and away they go.
So what do we do to train a porcupine?
So it's very, very simple, really. All it requires is a target, a clicker, and their favourite food being parsnip.
Which bit do you want me to do?
So if you want to do the target, all you've got to do is lower it to wherever you want them, and in theory, they should, hopefully, once they realise you're there, come over, touch it with their nose. As soon as they touch it with their nose,
Brussels Sprout. Brussels Sprout. Were they born at Christmas by any chance?
Their favourite food is Brussels sprouts.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. We have a winner. James, I am very impressed. How long has it taken you to get to that point?
So both of them are actually 17 and a half years old.
Right.
And they should only live to about 20 to 21, so they're actually quite old. But that took us around a week to get to that stage.
Did it really? So they really are very intelligent.
They pick it up very quickly.
Have you got loftier ambitions?
So the aim is, say, in theory...
Oh, look, he did
so
it again.
hopefully-
How much food have you got up to lift
Quite
this
a
up?
few, I know,
You have
I know.
got quite a few.
No, the aim is to hopefully get them things like crate trains, and we weigh them every month. So to get them on weights to hopefully make it easier for us and them.
And you get a really good sight here of these incredible quills.
Yeah, so obviously you've got 3 main layers. So you've got, these guys are almost like a peacock, so for display and for show. The tail, they rattle it like a rattlesnake if they ever want you to go away. And then finally, obviously the ones that probably catch your eye the most are the weapons in the middle.
Yeah, so those are the ones I don't want on my bare legs.
Indeed, indeed. And they will use them more so on things like lions and stuff.
James, congratulations. So impressive. There you have it. You can teach old porcupines new tricks. But what about cantankerous camels?
Come on, camels! Come on!
It's training time for the Bactrian camels. Keeper Leia is teaching them to get used to a potentially frightening piece of equipment, known as the crush. It might sound alarming, but the crush is a supersized version of a handling pen, the same as farmers might use for sheep and cattle.
It allows the camels to stand calmly and safely in there without harming themselves. It also allows our vets to kind of do any kind of procedures without them getting harmed by the camels either.
Standing 2 meters tall and weighing around 500 kilos, Bactrian camels have a powerful kick. With the right training, the crush can be a stress and injury-free experience for both animal and handler.
It's all about confidence and reassurance. We want this to be a really positive experience for the camels. We don't want them to think that every time that the crush appears, something bad's going to happen.
In a long-running training program, Leia's been teaching the herd to go into the crush, but there's one particularly tricky customer. Alima, the herd's matriarch.
She's quite a big girl. She's one of the larger camels we have, and I think sometimes she just doesn't feel that confident in that small space. So that's one thing we're really, really working on. We really want to build her confidence. Come on, camels!
Leia's hoping Alima will fall in line by following the other, more confident camels.
Come on, camels! I'm going to be dangling carrots, quite literally, and hoping that their stomachs get the better of them.
First up is Jasmine.
Hey, Jazz. Good girl, Jasmine.
With a little coaxing from Leia and a carrot, Jasmine shows the herd how to do the crush.
Good girl, Jazz. Good girl. Hey, Trevor.
One by one, 15 camels move through the crush with military precision.
Hey, Lester. Hey, Maya. Good girl. Hey, Orlando. You're a good boy. Hello, handsome. Good boy.
Then it's Alima's turn.
If they become uncooperative, that is it. You've had it. They just lie down, won't move. You might as well just go make a cup of tea.
She's been at the back, hiding in the stable, but now there's nowhere else to hide.
Come on, camel.
Leia needs Alima to toe the line because without crush training, it's impossible for the vets to safely monitor her health.
It's really important we do take it in teeny, tiny steps with her. I want to make this the most positive thing to just really boost her confidence so that she doesn't even think twice about it by the end of this course of training. Our main achievement last week was to get her down to the gate and happy standing there, which she now is. My main goal at the moment is for her to place 1 foot in the crush. Hey, Alima. And then we're going to ask her forward, but she's really not confident at all.
Come on, Alima. Just 1 hoof. 1 little step.
No way, no way. Mana, mana.
Okay, yeah, door open. So she's a little bit wary because I've got the front of the crush closed. So what I'm going to do is open it. That way she feels that she isn't going to get enclosed in there. It's a through route, so hopefully that should boost her confidence a little bit. Good girl, Alima. Foot forward. Come on, Alima. You can do this. Good girl. 1 more. Another foot. Come on. You got this. Good girl. Good girl.
She did it. It's 1 tiny step for Alima, but a great leap for Leia's training program. And quite enough progress for one day.
Every day we ask her to just take a step further forwards, so she doesn't learn that she can get away without doing anything. She always has to do one little thing extra.
Give it a few more weeks and Alima will have nailed it. For now, Leia's letting her take the easy way out.
Here, girl sausage.
Over in Animal Adventure, Jean's on her way to meet the animal that's been given a very special name.
After 42 years, the legend that is Ian Turner has finally had an animal named after him.
So I'd like to introduce you to Minnie Turner, who is this little chap up here.
Oh.
This is our red panda cub, and this is Mum that's with us as well.
Oh, Ian, how does that feel?
When I came down, it was absolutely amazing, because I didn't know it was going to happen.
Oh, it surprised you.
Secret plan, yeah.
42 years I've had to wait for this.
But wasn't it worth waiting for? Because I have to say, these are the cutest animals on the park. What made you choose a red panda to be named after our lovely Ian?
It actually all kind of fell into place. The day that we were doing our health check on the cub was actually Ian's birthday. And he came down to meet the new cub, so we thought, what better way to pay tribute to Ian and then name an animal after him.
Turner's been here for 8 months, so how's he getting on?
He's doing great.
Yeah.
He's an only child. He's a little bit spoiled by both his parents and me and Ian. We spoil him rotten as well.
Yeah.
But he's doing great. He is absolutely huge.
So what does the future hold for Turner?
Red pandas are endangered. So Turner is a really important part of an international breeding programme. So chances are that in the future he will be paired up with a girlfriend and he will actually leave us. Which, while really sad for us, is really good for red pandas.
How important is Turner?
I mean, there's less than 10,000 in the world. They're very hard to count. So there's thought to be as few as 3,000 or 4,000. I mean, that's hardly any, really. So incredibly important that he goes off. That's a whole new bloodline into sort of the captive population if he goes off and breeds.
So after waiting 42 years, Ian, your namesake, maybe moved on?
Yep, that's right. 42 years you wait, and then you leave you.
But it's all for the good of the species.
Yeah.
There are many animals here in the park that we'd be very happy to get close to. They're cute and they're cuddly. There are others we might not be quite so keen to cuddle up to. In fact, some of them may leave us running from our houses. But under the threat of extinction, the work here to breed them is vital. This tiny hut is the nerve centre for an urgent breeding project. Keeper James has been charged with raising a young army of rare arachnids.
I personally love spiders. Like, literally, it's painful. That's how much I love them. And to work with such an incredible species like this is such a tremendous privilege.
Now, you might want to hide behind a cushion, because James is the park's very own Spider-Man.
I'm really, really happy to introduce our desert ass wolf spiders. This is really the first time that I've had the opportunity to work with a wolf spider, and especially the biggest species of wolf spider on the planet.
This wolf spider is on the brink of extinction. Bristol Zoo kicked off a rescue project, capturing wild adults and successfully breeding them in captivity, a world first. Now they're calling on the best spider keepers in the country to nurse their babies into adults. James is responsible for keeping 52 of them alive.
This is little Enrique. All of our spiders have names. If this is a female, who knows? Can't tell the sex just yet. They will be absolute monsters.
When fully grown, adult female desertus wolf spiders have a huge leg span of 12 centimetres.
My mission is to get these guys as big as possible, up to maturity, as healthy as possible.
For head of Animal Adventure, Graham, saving whopping spiders is vital work.
It comes with a lot of pressure, and it comes with a lot of responsibility as well. That they've got to try and keep these animals alive because there isn't any in captivity. There's only a handful of collections that actually have them, and we're expected to try and rear these animals on to a good size, and you know, it could be, I suppose, the success of the species relies on some of the offspring that we have.
If James gets this right, his spiders could be released back to their natural habitat, potentially saving the wild population.
Each spiderling that I have is incredibly important to the survival of the species.
This rare species lives in the soil in one valley in one island called Desertus Grande, located 1,500 miles away in the eastern Atlantic.
I'm on the IUCN Red List website, just checking the conservation status.
The Global Authority on Threatened Species has determined this spider critically endangered.
Not great news for them. Actually turns out that they're more endangered than giant pandas.
Only 4,000 individuals are thought to remain, and their already tiny natural habitat is constantly getting smaller. An invasive weed is taking over the area they live in.
If something happens out on the islands of Desertas, and we lose the adults that are there, these are the only species left. The UK really is the only stronghold for this species, so it's really, really vitally important that James and the team really succeed in rearing these animals. We're hoping for success.
To get his spiders growing, James needs to feed them.
Every single day we feed all the spiders. It's a different group each day. So today is a Friday. It's Group D's lucky day. Today they're actually having some death head cockroach nymphs, so little tiny babies. We try and mix what they eat, so we switch from cockroaches to crickets, sometimes small woodlice.
In the wild, they might also devour young lizards.
They're apex predators, literally top of the food chain. Nothing is going to hurt them, nothing's going to eat them, but everything else underneath it must tremble in terror because these guys will be coming along to gobble them up.
Grabbing her prey, the young spider injects a venom which immobilizes the cockroach and turns its insides to soup.
She was nice and hungry there. This is pretty exciting. This one has actually molted overnight, and you can see that she's a slightly paler colour, and that's because her exoskeleton is still hardening.
Molting is a good sign.
To the untrained eye, this pot might look pretty gruesome, but this is just every single molt that we've had from our little babies. You can really see the size difference there. They molt to get bigger, basically. They have a hard exoskeleton around their body that they need to shed to be able to increase their size.
This is the first time their life cycle has been studied. James will only really know if his spiderlings are growing in the right direction by getting hands-on. We'll return as James attempts to measure them and save a species.
Ooh.
It's not just the Desertus wolf spider the park is nurturing. One of its most successful breeding programs is with these giants of the animal world. Genes with some of the newest members of the park's Rothschild giraffe family.
Ryan, who have we got here?
OK, well, since you guys were last here, Jean, we've had Reggie, Ronnie, Shrimpy, Rudy, and finally our latest addition is Sheldon.
5 new babies?
5 new babies, all boys.
Brilliant, and that's so important, we know, with this Rothschild giraffe breed, because they're endangered, aren't they?
There could be less than 1,000 of these left in the world, so very important.
Yeah, and over the years you have managed to successfully breed quite a large number.
We've had 128 live births here over the years, so it's an absolutely fantastic number for us.
That's amazing, and obviously so important for this Rothschild breed.
Yeah, you know, with potentially less than 1,000 left in the wild, obviously that number, you know, 128 is a huge contributing figure to hopefully keeping these wonderful animals going.
Amazing.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got Sheldon and Rudy in here somewhere, so can you point them out?
Yes. As we go along, Jean, I'm just going to pop some feed in the feeders for them. Hey, girls. So, if you look into the far corner of the big box here, you see this little guy staring at us.
You couldn't miss him. Oh, he's tiny compared to the others.
I mean, Sheldon. He's one of those giraffe all the others move around, he tends just to stand still and stare you out from a distance. Hey, girls.
And we always have to be just a little bit quiet in this enclosure because they're quite nervous animals, aren't they? They scare easily.
Yeah, I mean, you tend to find, Jean, as long as you're quite slow and steady in your movements, no sort of jerky, fast movers, nothing that replicates a predator.
Okay.
I think I always find if I relax my shoulders and just, chin down, relax your shoulders, kind of makes you look like you're not interested in jumping on one of them and having a bite to eat.
That's good advice. And I'm right in Rudy's eye line. So how has Rudy been getting on?
Rudy's been doing fine. We were concerned about him, Jean. He had, we felt that he was a little small when he was first born anyway, and then subsequently we were worried that he wasn't quite feeding correctly.
Okay.
We even thought about maybe having to step in and try and supplement him by hand. However, we popped him in his own box with Mum, Nora over there, and he's really come on leaps and bounds.
So what does the future hold for these wee ones?
Well, hopefully, Jean, they should go on to other collections, not just in the UK, they could be going anywhere in Europe to enter, as they mature, enter a breeding programme in other zoos and parks around Europe and hopefully, continue these genes.
Yeah, that is an amazing thought, that 2 giraffes born here can continue the cycle.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Right, I think we'll have to wrap up this giraffe trying to get in my shop.
It's a really difficult decision for the keepers to know what to do when a new arrival is in trouble. If they step in too late, it could end in tragedy. But if they interfere too early, there's a real risk that the mother might reject their baby. Up at the cheetah enclosure, Eloise and Amy are desperately hoping Wilma will accept the cub she rejected.
The tweets are not as loud, so hopefully she's not lid on it and that's why they're not as loud.
Amy spots something worrying. The cub has flipped and he can't turn over.
Wilma's feeding the healthy cub, but little man, he's just not got the strength to push over.
Wilma seems to want her cub to feed, but he can't find his way. The team must act now if this cub is to survive.
He seemed so energetic when I had hold of him. Maybe his core temperature's gone down.
The cub needs milk at this critical time. Without it, he'll die.
I feel like I want to do something, but I can't. It's just mentally draining.
For the second time, the team decide to take the cub away from Mum.
The little cub is just like its neck's right back. It's trying to move, trying to get towards Mum. It just can't at the minute. We're worried that it's losing temperature, so we're just going to try and get some heat pads and see if we can maybe take it away again and just get it warmed up. Because that's the worry now. It's going to get cold.
The race is on to get the cub warm and fed.
We managed to get a bottle into him and he seemed to take some of it in. A lot of it came out of his nose. A lot of it went all over me, but he's taken something.
His temperature's going up, we think. That's hopeful. It's getting late in the day now and we don't think he's strong enough yet to go back in with Mum. So the decision really is going to be to bring him away for a few days, try and get him stronger, feed him, take him home and go from there, really.
The cub's life hangs in the balance. The team will do everything they can to save him. His best chance of survival now lies with experienced cheetah keepers Matt and his wife Kate.
He's in good hands. Luckily, Matt and Kate have done this thing before, so we're fortunate in that case. And hopefully he survives through the night.
But only time will tell if this little cub will make it.
Meet Njanu, Marashi, Razina, and Ebun, the park's herd of southern white rhinos, the third largest land mammals in the world. Life hasn't been easy for southern white rhino. They were hunted to near extinction, leaving less than 100 animals on the planet. Thanks to conservation efforts, the species survived, but only just.
It is such a privilege to be in the company of these animals, isn't it?
It is. Ebun's an absolute charmer. She's lovely. She's the most recent one to arrive at Longleat. She only came to us about 4 or 5 years ago. So she spent most of her childhood growing up here.
She's absolutely gorgeous. And of course, the thing about having the rhinos here, not only are they such a treat for everybody to see, you know, a species that has really suffered over the years, but they have a very, very important role to play.
Rhinos, especially even the southern white rhinos in captivity, are ambassadors for their cousins in the wild who are really facing massive hardships and threats.
We got a real wake-up call this year, didn't we, when the last known male northern white rhino died. And as far as we know, there are only 2 female northern white rhinos left in the whole world. Is that right?
Sudan and his daughter and granddaughter, I believe. So they returned back to Africa from a collection in the Czech Republic. There's a big zoo movement to put them back in a last-ditch attempt to get them to breed.
Yeah.
But sadly, it didn't happen.
Sudan's death spurred a desperate race against time to save the species. The park's 3 females are a crucial part of the plan. Pioneering experts, Dr. Thomas Hildebrandt and Dr. Robert Hermes, are attempting to collect eggs from the female rhinos. The goal is to fertilize these with frozen sperm from Sudan to create a hybrid species. This vital work could even produce a pure northern white rhino in the future. So far, it's promising.
8 eggs, that's a record.
If it worked, you could end up with a calf that is 50% northern white rhino.
Yeah, it'd be absolutely breathtaking. Hi, Rosina.
Hello, do you remember me?
Hey, Razzle. Good
I
girl.
came to South Africa to bring this girl back, so I feel a little bit like her kind of travel companion. Yes. Here we are, Rosina. There we are, Boom Boom. Have a catch-up. There we are.
Hey, Raz. Hey, Mashi. Good girl.
So I can tell just by standing here, you're kind of radiating, you know, an extraordinary passion for these animals. What is it for you about rhinos that make you want to dedicate your life to them?
Oh, it's the intelligence. I think people underestimate rhinos so much. Their speed, turn of speed is insane. They're so thoughtful and considerate, and they're so dexterous with their horns. People think they're quite clumsy, cumbersome animals, but they know exactly what they're doing. And half the time, these guys train me as much as I train them. So you know, they're just so endearing. They really are.
It's such a treat to see these girls, and you know, they are looking very, very happy in their Wiltshire savannah.
Oh, we're all so broody for rhino calves here, it's unreal.
I've never been broody about anything, but suddenly I might be.
Yeah.
With the use of a macro lens, we'll be getting closer than ever before to some of the park's weird and wonderful creatures.
Steve, you've got a pretty incredible species in there.
Yes, absolutely. In here we have our long-snouted spiny seahorses. We have 2 in here at the moment. It's the first time we've actually had these babies in here, so from this species, it's very, very exciting.
They are absolutely minute. I actually haven't spotted them in there, so I'm going to ask Ian, our cameraman, to try and get me an image on our screen. How difficult is that, Ian?
Very difficult.
Very difficult, right. Well, oh, you've got one. Look at that.
Yes, just about to see them floating about there.
Absolutely tiny.
When they're first born, they're no bigger than your eyelashes. They're teeny, tiny, itty-bitty, so they've grown quite nicely, actually. They're about coming up for 4 weeks old now.
And you're really hoping that these 2 survive, because you've lost quite a few babies, haven't you?
Yes, we have. Everything is crossed. When they first emerged from Dad, there was about between sort of 300 and 400 of them.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes, and the mortality rate is really quite high in seahorses. You've got maybe a 1% chance of survival to adulthood.
Only these 2 survive?
These are the 2 remainers, yeah.
And how rare are they?
In terms of their conservation status, they are classed as vulnerable. So they're not quite endangered, but because of pollution and overfishing and habitat destruction, they are getting that way, so they are quite vulnerable.
So the breeding programme is really important.
Definitely, yeah, very, very important. So we are certainly hoping for some success because the species is depending on it.
How often do you feed these little guys?
So at this stage, when they're teeny tiny, we have to feed them once every hour. And they don't actually have a stomach, seahorses. So their food just goes continuously straight through them, so they need to be eating constantly.
They really are amazing creatures. So
Yeah.
if you give them a feed, I can have a look on here.
Sure,
That'd be
hopefully
amazing, yeah.
we'll capture something. So we've got some Artemia in here, which are like tiny little shrimps.
I mean, I thought they were tiny. These are really,
These are
I mean, you can't
microscopic.
see these are microscopic.
Absolutely right. So what we'll do is just gently introduce it in and then just very slowly squeeze it into there. When you're feeding them, you've got to be very, very gentle when introducing the Artemia into the water, because if you do squeeze it too hard and it comes out too quick, you'll just blow them away and then can potentially damage them.
Steve, they're so sensitive and you have to be so meticulous. Do you feel the pressure?
Absolutely, yes indeed. Their life is very much in my hands when I'm introducing their food in, doing anything to the tank. So yeah, definitely you do feel the pressure. You don't want to do anything to hurt them.
Well, so far, so good, because these two, as you can see, are looking pretty good.
Let's hope they thrive in the future.
Oh, my fingers are crossed for you, Steve.
Thank you.
Back now to spider lover James and his quest to save the critically endangered Desertus wolf spider. He's kept all but 3 of his 52 spiderlings alive with meticulous monitoring. Now it's time to find out if the rest are on the right path to adulthood.
It's actually pretty important to see how large they're growing.
Adults reach an impressive 5 inches, which is technically known as a massive spider.
So what we're doing now is measuring their leg span. So we want them as spread out as possible. You can really get a good estimate of how quick they are.
Photographing the spiders on a ruled grid allows James to accurately measure the distance from one front leg to the opposite back leg.
Nice easy one, bang on an inch. So quite a nice size for them to be at the moment. Pop this one back in.
Studying their development could give vital clues to save this species.
This is the one that's most likely to escape, so here we go.
No one wants an enormous endangered spider on the loose in Wiltshire, so let's hope Waldorf behaves.
Because I know for a fact that she's really quick. Here we go. Oh no, don't bite it. I'm gonna let her fully stretch out in there, so I'm just gonna let her into this larger container. They're incredibly fast little things. They can scale plastic very, very easily. Get a photo. There we go. Good photos there. So yeah, considerably larger. This one is a whopping 2.5 inches there. Pretty big.
Great news. Waldorf is halfway to James's target size, and he didn't escape.
It's quite a large individual, so I think I'm going to need a bigger pot.
As the spiders grow, James rehomes them into larger pots, where he can monitor humidity and temperature more precisely.
Yeah, new cribs. There we go. Plenty of room for him in there now.
If you're into spiders, this is a big deal.
I've never moved them up into larger accommodations. This is what they've always been in since they've been here, so this is quite a momentous occasion.
Waldorf's growth is actually a huge victory for James and his work.
There are such a limited number of this species in captivity, or in the world really, so every animal definitely counts.
If James's success continues, he hopes his army will reproduce before being introduced to the wild, so the Desertus wolf spider can rise again.
The first animals arrived at the park in 1966. Since then, exotic animals have thrived in the Wiltshire countryside. Animals such as Steph. In the wild, a Grant zebra could make it to 20 years if they didn't become lunch to a lion first. Here, Steph is pushing 25. Steph was once the great matriarch, but now, finally, age is starting to catch up with her.
I'm here to give one of the oldest inhabitants on the park her meds and a little bit of TLC as well. Good to meet you, Steph. Hi, Tara.
Oh, hiya.
So this is Steph.
Yeah, so this is
I've heard all about you. There you
That's
go.
it.
Now, she's got a bit of a legacy on this park, doesn't she? Because she's one of the oldest. How long has she been here?
So she's nearly 25 years old.
25 years old, wow.
So she's doing very well, bless her. And that's why she has to have medication, and it just helps with her arthritis in her legs, any kind of pain that she might get with the old age.
How does she keep up?
But she has got a bit slower in her age, and she normally is at the back of the herd, but she quite likes that. She has a particular friend called Jinga, and they hang out quite a lot just with each other.
I have heard that she does tend to get picked on, and I guess that's just because within the hierarchy, she is a bit of an elder.
Yes, so hierarchy with zebras changes really regularly. So every time they have a bit of a squabble, and Jinga kind of protects Steph. So she just circles around Steph, and anyone who comes near Steph, she'll show them where to go, basically. And a bit like that.
Yeah, you get your squabbles in any family, yeah.
Exactly, and she'll just give them a little bit of a tap on it with her back legs and move them away from Steph for her.
Oh, how lovely to hear. This is one of the most beautiful animals I've ever seen up close.
They are black and white stripes, but they all have their own individual pattern. So it's a bit unique, like our fingerprints. With her coat, because of her age, she can't groom herself the same as like the younger zebras. So the others do help her, but we also help her by giving her a brush every day, as much as we possibly can, depending on whether she wants us to or not.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Can we swap over?
Yeah, perfect.
So what do I do?
The best bets to go is specifically at the top, because that's where she can't really reach. But we do go all the way down. She's quite comfortable on like most of her body areas being touched. So just give her a general brush over everywhere.
Do you like that, Steph? We know zebras because of their stripes, but I don't know why they have stripes.
So they have their stripes to dazzle the predators that are after them. So obviously when they're running, predators generally can't see them as well, and therefore it makes them harder to get hold of.
She's really enjoying this grooming. And do the zebras groom each other?
Yeah, so you will see them helping each other if they're quite muddy, because they like to roll in the mud to get rid of some of their old coat.
So a real good sense of community here amongst the zebras.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. They help each other as much as they can, especially, as I said, her friend Jinga. They're definitely a very strong bond with each other.
Oh, Tara, that was so special. Zebras are such an iconic animal, and to be this close to her is just such a privilege, so thank you.
No worries, thank you very much for helping.
The cub with the hardest start in life. Born, rejected, and now incredibly weak.
Just coming up to 1 o'clock in the morning. Little cub taking some more milk. Or trying to, at least. Come on, buddy. So far, so good. Just trying to calm him down. Obviously, still calling for his mum.
Matt knows survival is an instinct, but the cub needs strength. Tonight, the problems facing the little cub are as many as the night is long.
So it's been a bit of a struggle over the last few hours. And also, despite my optimism earlier about his movements, I've still got quite big concerns about the way he's moving as well.
Matt's done all he can. In the morning, the precious cub is rushed to the vets.
Last night, when I thought there was a glimmer of hope, he seemed to improve halfway through the night. His movement was better, and I allowed myself to be a bit hopeful. But then, yeah, early morning hours, again, he just went downhill. So the decision has been made to put the guy to sleep.
After an exhausting 24 hours, and despite the tireless work of the keepers, the little cub died.
poor guy had, we think, a head trauma and was kind of on a losing battle to start with. It was a long shot, but we here, of course, are always going to give him a chance. Yeah, it is very tough. It is the one part of the job you can't avoid, and it is the worst part of the job.
You know, the highs and lows of being an animal keeper, the last few days and hours, it sums it up, really. To lose an animal is the most devastating thing anybody can experience if you're an animal keeper. They've battled, they've really put every energy, every moment, they've held that little animal, they've done their best. I'm really proud of all of them.
Always hurts and never easy.
Now it's really important they don't lose sight of how important it is that we have one. We have a live cub.
And we'll be following the story of that precious remaining cub later in the series.
We're nearing the end of the show, but Kate and I couldn't leave without finding out how Leia's Bactrian camel training has been going.
I have to say, I'm not sure about their table manners.
No, it's not looking quite so controlled at the moment, is it?
Not really. So you've been doing this crush training, and the last time we saw a lemur, who I think, is this her here?
That's her just there.
Hello. Hello, Alima. She was a little bit unsure about going in.
We've done some really steady work over the past few weeks. It's taken about kind of 2 or 3 weeks to progress from where you last saw us.
Yeah.
And she now goes into the crush really comfortably. She's even letting us shut gates and doors, which is brilliant because it means we can really monitor her joint pain closely through the summer and back into winter again as well.
Now, I have to say, they've looked better. It looks like someone needs to give them a good groom or just take the fur off.
I wouldn't say that too loud.
Sorry. No offence, guys.
Yeah, they're looking pretty shabby at this time of year, but as you can see, it's growing as quickly as it's shedding. So, you know, by the end of the summer, they'll have a nice, healthy coat ready for the autumn.
Well, well done you. It sounds like the training has gone fantastically well, and it won't just be a lemur, presumably, that will benefit from that. If any of the camels get sick, it means that you can handle them safely for their sake as well as yours.
Definitely. It's over the past month, even, we've been able to really get on top of a couple of health issues really quickly and safely, and the whole keeping team have worked really hard on this project. They've done really well.
Well, congratulations. Sadly, that's all we've got time for, but here's what's coming up on the next Animal Park. The vet team will be tested more than ever when 2 lemurs are brought in with injuries.
There is a cut to his palm. I think that's going to require stitching.
It's lion versus warthog in a quest to energise the senses.
They know there's food there, it's just they can't figure out where it is at the moment.
And it's fight night for the cave crickets. Who will come out king of the castle?
There they go, they're really going at it.